Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to go inside your head and check out this incredible living symphony of neural activity that powers every single decision you make. Yeah, from the huge ones to the tiny ones. We're about to find out how your brain isn't just reacting to the world, it's actually composing it.
And to really get a handle on this whole symphony idea, we're going to zoom in on one single, seemingly simple action that, believe me, hides a whole universe of complexity. How does your brain decide to grab that morning cup of coffee?
So let's stick with this one story, the morning coffee decision, and see exactly how your brain turns something as simple as a sight and a smell into a real, conscious action. It's a pretty fascinating journey. Okay, but before we follow that coffee, there's one really important thing you've got to get. Your brain is not a computer. It is a living, adaptive system that is constantly rewiring itself. So think of it less like a static machine and more like a dynamic symphony that's, adapting its performance in real time. So where does this whole symphony even kick off? Well, it starts with your senses. This is the moment your brain grabs those raw signals from the world and turns them into the very first notes of perception. The very first layer is something called rate coding. You can basically think of this as the volume knob. So the bright steam rising from your coffee cup, that makes the neurons in your visual cortex fire way more rapidly. More steam, more spikes. It's the brain's simple way of encoding intensity. But hey, it's not just about how loud the signal is, right? It's also about the rhythm. And this is where temporal coding comes into play. It's the precise timing of those neural spikes that weaves the sight of the steam and the smell of the coffee together into a single, coherent event that's happening right now. Okay, so now your brain's got the basic notes. It's got the volume and the rhythm. But, a few notes here and there don't make a masterpiece. Now it's time to bring in the whole orchestra to create a clear, unified picture. And this happens in a couple of stages. First up, you've got population coding. Think of these as the actual musicians in the orchestra. Different groups of neurons fire to represent features like hot liquid or caffeine reward. Then you get oscillatory dynamics, which is what we all know as brain waves, and they act as the conductor, syncing up all these different players to create one single unified perception, coffee.
But this is where it gets really cool. Your brain isn't just sitting back and passively receiving information. It's an active, forward-looking prediction engine. It's constantly guessing what's going to happen next.
So it doesn't just see the coffee in front of you, it predicts what that coffee should be like based on all your past experiences. It's kind of why you can drive a familiar route almost on autopilot. Your brain is just running on predictions, which frees up a ton of mental energy. And here's the kicker. Your brain pays the most attention to surprises. So if the coffee smells burnt, that's a mismatch from your prediction of a perfect brew. A powerful prediction error signal shoots through your brain, basically telling it, hey, update your model of the world. It learns from the unexpected. Now, as all this is happening, your brain uses attention to focus its resources, kind of like a spotlight, on the coffee, while actively tuning out the sound of a dripping faucet. And at the same time, your working memory is using synchronized brainwaves, a process called theta-gamma coupling, which is like the brain's own high-speed Wi-Fi, to juggle the immediate options. Should I sip it now, or should I wait until it cools down a bit? So now, it's time for the grand finale. All these processes, the sensation, the perception, the prediction, they all come together to make the actual choice. And this is not some simple knee-jerk reaction. Your prefrontal cortex is in there weighing logical rules, like, okay, if I'm late, I gotta skip it. But, and this is wild, the brain also embraces a bit of chaos. Random neural fluctuations can spark creative ideas like, hey, why not just make it an iced coffee? It even shifts into a reflective state, activating its default mode network. You can think of that as your brain's daydreaming mode, to ask deeper questions like, do I really need this caffeine for my meeting? So when you step back and look at the whole thing, you can really see the symphony in action, can't you? It starts with simple codes for intensity and timing. Then it binds all those features into one unified whole. Your brain predicts, it focuses, and then it applies both logic and creativity to make the final call. It's just a beautifully integrated process. And the big takeaway here is that this is not some rigid robotic calculation. It's a fluid, dynamic, and adaptive narrative. This incredible feat, going from raw data all the way to nuanced behavior, is what your brain does for every single choice you make, big or small. It's what makes you who you are. Which leaves us with one final, kind of provocative thought. If your brain performs this stunningly complex symphony for something as simple as a cup of coffee, what else is it truly capable of?